Hello folks, it's 9 o'clock in the morning on the 12th of November 2014. I've just finished my second Saturn return. I was born with Saturn in Scorpio. And I'm beginning to really rethink the nature of Saturn in Scorpio after this last 2 years, particularly in its relationship to the dark and suppressed feminine, the hidden feminine in us all. Saturn deals with structure and boundary and form, and when younger it's seen as restriction, limitation and frustration. It's old father time. It makes you work bloody hard and there's never any shortcuts. It also brings success and reward for hard work done. Scorpio used to be associated primarily with sex and death and fear and power. That's now changed. In a more modernistic way, Scorpio is seen as the area that governs external resources, particularly finances, i.e. mortgage, loan, inheritance. It's got to do with intimacy at a personal and intimate level, certainly. It's also got to do with all systems of power, and in the negative side this power is expressed as control and greed through fear, whereas on a positive side it's expressed as psychological self-empowerment and self-knowledge. Saturn in Scorpio is no easy prospect, but we've seen the abuses of the last few years really strongly, whether it be the excesses of the bankers and the hypocrisy becoming more and more evident of both the bankers and the politicians in terms of the ineffectuality of their performances on human life. They're becoming increasingly irrelevant. We've also seen, of course, the perpetuation of endemic sexual abuse against women, children, against everyone, including men, that's just been suppressed and repressed. And of course, in the last few years with Saturn in Scorpio, we've seen the rise of prosecutions against priests and celebrities, but they're just the tip of the iceberg. Fortunately, the exposure of this, better late than never, is going to raise awareness of it. But again, where's the feminine? Where are the women standing up against this? Where's the women of ISIS standing up against the men? Where's the mothers? Saturn in Scorpio seems to be pushing a lot of people of both genders into dealing with issues of masculinity and femininity, and not so much in terms of gender politics, but more in terms of their own internal willingness to sort of know what's right and what's wrong. It's about individual conscience to an extent, and the way we deal with our own individual fears. I look back to my first Saturn return 29 years ago, 30 years ago, and that was the time when Saturn and Pluto were moving together into Scorpio. And my Saturn in Scorpio then was governed by the rise of Thatcherism, the miners' strike in the UK, where for 2 years the black stuff from underneath, the deep dark stuff that was coal manifestedly, there was a massive blockage and strike there while both Pluto and Saturn were in Scorpio. Similarly but different now, the exposure of the hypocrisy of those people we've always looked up to and elevated. I question why we need role models, gods, aspirational figures. I question why we're not trained and educated into actually aspiring to do best for ourselves rather than trying to emulate other people. The cult of celebrity, the cult of power, whether it be through celebrity, politician, priest or banker, is something it's almost hardwired into our system. I don't think it's possible for individuals to actually get completely away from that, no matter how much they aspire to. But Saturn in Scorpio really makes us look at the notion of self-control and self-discipline, because it's a hell of a lot easier to live within your own boundaries than it is pushed on those by others. That's my conclusion of Saturn in Scorpio. And I'm going to be ratifying this tomorrow night. I'm off to Vienna. I'm going to do a couple of videos now on Jupiter, Pluto, and one or two things that are coming up. But I'm away to Vienna for a few days. I'm going to be lecturing, teaching, and giving readings. So I'm going to be staying in the same place as Freud lived, which should be interesting as well. So I really look forward to this. Fill you in later. Have a great day. Bye.